You are going on a long motorbike trip or just on a day out? There's one essential item you should never go without. Welcome back to day 3 of my prep for my next motorbike trip. I want to talk about a camping stove and your cooking gear. I wouldn't go anywhere without it. You are doing an extended motorbike trip or you're just on a day out in the countryside. I would never go without my stove and my cooking gear. If you're camping or staying in a hotel, let me tell you why you always should have your cooking gear and your stove with you. If you're out and about, there comes a point where you just want a coffee or something to eat. So it's rather handy to have the stuff with you. Otherwise you just end up in a fast food restaurant, a greasy spoon, a cafe, or one of these motorbike stops who is absolutely chocker full of people. You ride through the countryside and you find these amazing spots where you just want to have a break. Nobody around. This is where your stove comes rather handy. Bottom line is you can stop anywhere. Another scenario is, for example, if you break down and you have to wait hours for someone to come along and pick you up. Having a cup of coffee or something to eat is just marvelous. And then there's the weather. Did you ever have to stop under a bridge because it was raining so hard? Making yourself a cup of coffee just makes everything so much easier. And don't forget, when it's cold, it goes without saying. When it comes to stoves, you really have 3 options. You have gas, you have petrol or multi-fuel, and then you have the solid fuel stoves. They all have their pros and cons. The first one I want to talk about is my petrol stove. That goes with me on all the long trips. The main reason I take the petrol stove with me is the availability of fuel. Riding a motorbike, you always have petrol with you. It also saves space. These canisters take a lot of room in your panniers. You only have 1 bottle to take with you and you refill it all the time. Let's talk about the downside of petrol stoves. They definitely don't smell of roses. Let's be honest, petrol smells and a petrol stove stinks. There's no doubt about it, especially when you prime it, because you have to put some petrol down here in the primer, and when you set that alight you get these black fumes who always stink. It's not so much a problem if you are outside or in a tent, but if you are inside in a room, you definitely should not use a petrol stove. The other side is they're really dirty. I mean, just look at my hands. I just handling that thing. You always have a fair amount of soot on the stuff, and that also goes for your cooking equipment. So keeping the stove clean can be a bit of a challenge. Another downside of petrol stoves are they're extremely noisy. Firing this thing up at 4 o'clock in the morning on a campsite, I guarantee you, you're not making yourself a lot of friends. One thing not to forget is, if you ever get stuck with your motorbike, having a petrol fuel could just save the day. 1.5 litre of fuel should get you 20 miles. Maybe that's just what you need to get yourself to the next petrol station. So how about the good old gas stove? Tried and tested by every camper in the world. You have the screw one on. You have the standalone ones. And you have the micro ones. So what are the benefits? First of all, they're clean. They don't smell. You don't have any residue on your hands or on your cooking gear. In that case, they win hands down. The other thing, they are easy to use. Just take them out, set them up, set them alight, and you're good to go. One really good thing is they don't smell. And they're much quieter. So what are the downsides? Gas canisters are expensive. They are proprietary made, so you pay really through the nose. Taking a couple of weeks supply of gas canisters with you can really fill up your panniers pretty quick. On a longer trip or in different countries, you maybe get stuck and you can't find the right cartridge. Choosing the right stove for your trip, well, it's still down to personal choice. For me, on a long trip, a petrol stove wins hands down because I have no issues sourcing the fuel. Doing a small trip or just a day out, my gas stove will always be handy because it's just so much easier to use, and one canister goes a long way. So choosing the right stove is not just black and white, isn't it? There's a lot of things to consider. So the stove business is sorted out. My next step now is to write the itinerary for my trip. Rightio, so I hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon below so you don't miss anything. Give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section below, because I really would like to know what kind of stove you prefer. Right guys, until next time, ride safe.